Exactly 7 weeks until Election Day, and the city of Springfield's already seeing a record number of mail-in ballot requests. So far, 16,000 people plan to vote by mail.
But there are still some people who plan to head to the polls during the coronavirus pandemic. Western Mass News reporter Leon Purvis is live outside Springfield City Hall with more. Leon?
Beth, Chris, I spoke with several folks who say that they're going to vote in person because it's easier for them. But whether if it's in person or vote by mail, the city of Springfield is working so both options are accessible. Voting in the 2020 election will be different this year with a push for mail-in voting in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. But some folks plan to keep the tradition they've been doing for years, voting in person.
I've always done it, so I'm going to continue doing it. I don't think there's anything wrong with voting by mail.
For others, it's all about convenience.
It's much easier for me. The voting center, it's like about 3 minutes away from my house, and I just bike over in the mornings around that area.
So far, more than 16,000 voters in Springfield have requested mail-in ballots for the November election. Back in 2016, the last presidential election, just 1,600 ballots were mailed in out of a total of 55,000 voters. The vote-by-mail ballot request in 2020 is almost 30% of the voter turnout in 2016. The Springfield Election Commissioner Gladys Oyola says they're expecting at least 50% of registered voters to turn out this year. They had a trial run with the larger voter turnout on primary day.
On election day, we had teams of runners that physically delivered ballots to the polls. So there is kind of the room or margin for error is very small.
On primary day, about 27,000 voters in Springfield cast their ballots, with 11,000 voting by mail. In the 2018 primary, about 14,000 folks voted and 900 did so by mail. So they are preparing for November to make sure people can vote in person and by mail without an issue.
September primary was really a good example of how kind of organizing ahead of time was able to save us a lot of headaches, and collaborating with the post office really worked out well for us.
Now, if you do plan to request a mail-in ballot for Election Day, the deadline for that is October 28th. Now, the ballot must be received in person on election night or postmarked on Election Day, November 3rd. Live in Springfield, Leon Purvis, Western Mass News.